Tyson Fury has announced he'll return to boxing in 2026, nearly a year after declaring his latest retirement. If that feels familiar, it should, because this is, depending on how you count, retirement number 5 for the Gypsy King. 2026 is that year. Return of the Mac, posted Fury on Instagram. Been away for a while, but I'm back now. 37 years old and still punching. Nothing better to do than punch men in the face and get paid for it. It would be exciting to say this is a surprise, but it's really not. After a second points loss to Alexander Usyk for 3 of the 4 heavyweight belts in December of 2024, Fury confirmed his retirement a month later. History suggested it wouldn't last, and it didn't. Before this, Fury officially announced his retirement in 2013, 2016, 2017, and again in 2022, following his win over Dillian Whyte. Every time he exited the sport, though, the door through which he left proved to be revolving. Given Fury's fury at the judges after his 2 losses to Usyk, still the only man to have beaten him, and his history flip-flopping on retirement, few believed his latest attempt would stick. Now it appears it didn't. Despite insisting he was done, Fury has remained heavily linked to a long-awaited all-British showdown with Anthony Joshua, another former 2-time heavyweight champion. Plans were seemingly in motion for both men to take tune-up fights before finally colliding in late 2026. However, a fatal car crash in Nigeria last week left Joshua injured and mourning 2 close friends. As a result, AJ is likely to be taking a break from boxing. If Joshua is unavailable, Fury could pursue a highly lucrative trilogy bout with Usyk for all the marbles at heavyweight once again. Or he could target the newly crowned WBO champion Fabio Wardley. Victory over either would make Fury a 3-time heavyweight world champion, which would see him join Muhammad Ali in the history books. To the cruiserweights. Jake Paul has dropped out of the WBA rankings after being comprehensively stopped by Anthony Joshua last month.
Not that much is going to happen. And it almost...
During their Netflix mega event, Paul suffered a broken jaw in 2 places and required surgery following Joshua's 6th-round knockout in their heavyweight bout. Before then, Paul had been vocal about chasing a world title, and he had entered the WBA cruiserweight rankings at number 14 after beating Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. in July. He had slipped to number 15 before facing Joshua, and now he's out entirely. And in championship results, Amanda Serrano made her successful return to featherweight. The Ring, WBA and WBO champ defended her titles with a dominant unanimous decision win over Reina Tellez in a contest that was fought over 10 3-minute rounds. Tellez accepted the fight on 15 days' notice after Erica Cruz popped for PEDs. The 22-year-old showed grit, resilience, and enough promise to earn future opportunities, but Serrano controlled the bout with pressure, volume, and experience. It feels amazing to fight in Puerto Rico, but it feels even better to be back at featherweight, said Serrano. It's been 2 years since I fought at this weight, so the next fights are going to be much, much better. I feel finally I gave the fans a show. The win is the first for Serrano since 2024, following her 2 close decision losses to Katie Taylor for the undisputed junior welterweight titles. At 37, there were rumors of retirement circling the champ. Instead, Serrano confirmed she'll continue her career at featherweight, but she stopped short of calling out future opponents. And in the co-main event, Stephanie Hahn retained her WBA lightweight title via technical unanimous decision over Holly Holm, after an accidental head clash left Hahn unable to continue in round 7. Hahn dominated from round 2 onward and outlanded Holm 87-29, neutralizing the Boxing Hall of Famer and former UFC champion's offense with speed and timing to secure her 2nd successful title defense. Paddy Pimblett believes a win at UFC 324 could eventually crown him the undisputed lightweight champion, despite not being able to fight the man who currently holds the belt. With the champ Ilia Topuria sidelined by ongoing legal issues involving his ex-wife, Pimblett will face Justin Gaethje for the interim title this January 24 in Las Vegas. If Topuria's absence drags on, which is looking increasingly likely, Pimblett sees a familiar path opening. One that mirrors how his fellow Brit Tom Aspinall went from interim to undisputed without a unification belt. Aspinall held the interim heavyweight belt for over a year while waiting for the champion John Jones to fight him. Except Jones chose retirement instead, and Aspinall was elevated. Pimblett can see history repeating itself, which would be a bittersweet outcome for the baddie, given his long-standing rivalry with Topuria and his desire to settle things the old-fashioned way. "I do want to fight him, so it's a catch-22, said Pimblett. "I want to beat Ilya up and show everyone that I can beat him, but at the same time, if he's going to have me waiting like Tom was for John, then no. Just vacate, lad, and let the division crack on." If Pimblett does beat Gagey and Topuria is forced to vacate, Pimblett is already eyeing a blockbuster first defense against the UFC featherweight champion Alexander Volkanovski. The Australian is set to headline UFC 325 in a title rematch against Diego Lopez this January 31st in Sydney. Before then, he'd previously chased champ status, but fell short twice to Islam Makhachev at lightweight. "It wouldn't surprise me if he thinks that's the perfect opportunity to win the lightweight belt," mused Paddy. "I don't want to fight Volk. I proper like Volk, but he's probably looking at it and thinking, that's my best chance to become lightweight champ, beating Paddy." Back to Aspinall. The heavyweight champ has been urged by fellow Englishman Michael Bisping not to rush his return to the cage. Aspinall suffered severe eye injuries in the first defense of the undisputed title against Cyril Gane. Bisping, who fought much of his career with compromised and then no vision, offered a hard-earned lesson. "The one thing you can't do with an eye is rush back," Bisping said. "That is the one big lesson that I learned, because I did that. I rushed back too soon. I rushed back to sparring, I rushed back to competition, and I never saw out of that eye again. Tom has got to take his time." With Aspinall sidelined for what could be months, the UFC may have to install yet another interim champion, and Bisping already has his ideal matchup in mind. Cyril Gane was looking bloody good against Tom Aspinall. He is a beautiful kickboxer, and stylistically for Alex Puertan Pereira, it's the best matchup, said Bisping. And it's a pretty good call. This option could give Cyril Gane a second interim title after he won his first back in 2021 by stopping Derek Lewis. It would also offer him a little redemption following the no contest caused by his eye pokes at UFC 321. Alex Pereira, fresh off reclaiming the light heavyweight belt at UFC 320, was chasing a money fight with the former champ John Jones at the White House. But UFC CEO Dana White rejected that idea outright, citing Jones's past history of derailing entire fight cards. Pereira fighting Aspinall, however, could be even more special, as it's a chance to make history. A win would make him the first UFC fighter to have held titles in 3 separate divisions. Back to John Jones, his seemingly eternal rivalry with Daniel Cormier has flared up again. This year, the two are set to coach opposite teams on ALF Global's ALF Reality, Russia's answer to The Ultimate Fighter. In its short 2-season history, the series has already featured stars like Nate Diaz, Jorge Masvidal, Petr Yan, and Aljamain Sterling. But Season 3 will be its biggest yet. To prove this is actually happening, Jones and Cormier faced off for an Instagram post to promote the series. It's hard to imagine how much money they must be getting. And before Kayla Harrison makes her first defense of the UFC bantamweight title against the undisputed women's GOAT, the mighty Amanda Nunes, Nunes has revealed a fascinating wrinkle. She's been training with someone who knows how to beat Harrison better than anyone. Nunes, 37, hasn't competed since June of 2023, when she dismantled Irene Aldana at UFC 289, before retiring as the women's bantam and featherweight champion. Since the Lioness stepped away, Harrison has seized control. The 2-time Olympic gold medalist and 2-time PFL season champion stormed through the division unrivaled and claimed the bantamweight title from Nunes' longtime rival, Juliana Pena, in June of 2025. Nunez teased her preparation with a photo from training. One arm around her wife, Nina Ansaroff, the other around Larissa Pacheco, the only woman to have ever beaten Harrison in a professional MMA fight. Harrison and Pacheco crossed paths 3 times under the PFL banner between 2019 and 2022. Harrison won the first 2 by decision, including the 2019 Women's Lightweight season finale, before their rivalry culminated in the 2022 season championship, where Pacheco handed Harrison her lone professional loss via unanimous decision. It's easy to see why Nunez would seek her insight, though Harrison, unsurprisingly, isn't rattled. It didn't really make sense to me. I'm a southpaw grappler and Larissa is an orthodox striker. But the more the merrier. That's great, said Harrison at the team-up. I love it when women help build each other up, so I think it's awesome.
Thanks for watching. And remember, if you want more fight sports in your life, just hit the subscribe button.